Hi, and welcome back once again to my channel. So, I have to be honest, I haven't been watching Married to Medicine lately. It was, however, one of my favorite reality shows to watch, and I especially loved watching Mariah's interaction with the ladies, especially Mariah, when Mariah and Heavenly argues, right? Golden. Mariah, do you want me to bring out the receipts? I don't think that this show is ever going to be the same without Mariah. From the beginning, they seem to have a problem with Mariah's larger than life personality, and these ladies could not measure up, and so they all banded against Mariah. That's how I see it. I don't know how anybody else saw it, but they could have been in support of Mariah rather than having the executives push Mariah out. They could have been in support of her. And it is something about black women where we do not really band together when it is important. Can you imagine these ladies on the show talking about Black Lives Matter, right? And Mariah sitting down in her living room watching them talk about all the things that they need to do in order to improve the black race and knowing exactly how these ladies would have treated her. It just don't look right. It's the same situation between Kenya and Portia, and how Portia has been pushing to say that she is all for promoting the black race and treating people well. You can't have your household that you're not treating well and then expect others to treat you well. It just don't work. It's like your shoes dirty and you vex with somebody if you step on your shoes. So why? It's just stupid. Mariah's absence from the show has been felt by many of the viewers, and people have been complaining. And I really do hope that somehow, whatever her battles between herself and the, you know, Bravo heads, that it comes to a resolution and that she's added back to the show. The other lady that they used to replace Mariah, this other Indian lady named Anila, I'm not gonna say that I dislike her. I don't outrightly dislike her character on the show, but at the same time, she's not Mariah. That's what I'm saying. Mariah, Mariah, Mariah. Bring Mariah back. All right. But I'm still gonna review the show right up until the reunion and let you know what are my thoughts about it. And I hope that you can also bring your thoughts to the conversation. Now, one thing I always notice is that the men have a strong bond amongst each other, and they tend to resolve whatever differences they have very quickly. And it's unfortunate to look at this show and see where the men can resolve their issues and deal with one another, yet the women always seem to have a problem, right? They are always fighting, always quarreling. And these are women with means. They are women who, in their own right, are successful. And yet, despite all the money and fame that they have, they still have to be petty and bitter amongst themselves. And it is something in regards to women that I particularly dislike, right? If I have a problem with another female, I am going to know that I have a problem with her, but it's not necessary to quarrel in the public eye or to bring it past a certain stage. You must be able to resolve your issues and get past them. And I think the ladies ought to reflect this in the show. I don't want to see the show where they're always bickering, always fighting. It does not look good, especially for people who are, considered to be in the upper stratosphere of the black society. Me always say stratosphere, me don't know, upper echelon, right? And you expect better from them, right? I also in this episode noticed Simone and Jackie's friendship, And when the season premiered, Simone and Jackie were having problems with their relationship, and it seems that they have been able to mend it somewhat. Um, Simone brought lunch to Dr. Jackie, and they had lunch together, and they were there sitting down and laughing and kicking. Now, the one thing I hate is when you have a friendship or a friend and you are the one who is always having to be the one to compromise or to go out of your way for the other friend, and the other friend doesn't see where they need to meet you or be supportive of you. And I think this is where Simone and Jackie is having a problem. I think Simone is realizing that Jackie does not give the same effort as she does in the relationship, and this is going to eventually cause a problem between the two. Dr. Simone seems to be very accomplished, and so too Dr. Jackie, right? And I am sure that in their circle, there aren't many people who are at the level financially in their lives. And so their circle of friends, I'm sure, is going to be very small, especially for Black friends, right? So it is important that they are able to get along. But when you have a friend and your friend is not um, appreciative or not supportive of the friendship, and basically just a one-sided friendship, it don't make no sense, right? But I do like to see Dr. Simone. Dr. Simone is one of my favorites. Yeah, I like watching her. She is very entertaining, especially when she goes off on her rants, yeah, and starts screaming. It reminds me of myself, yeah. I sometimes do that, but I scream when it reaches a point that persons are not listening, or I am explaining myself calmly, and you're not, allowing me to. So if you're not allowing me, then I have to step it up a notch. So yes, Dr. Simone reminds me of myself, and I truly don't. When it comes to fashion and wearing clothes, clothes is not so much important to me. And so me now go out of my way if I go find say, okay, I have to look this particular way, unless it is there's an event and then I have enough time to plan for it. But when it comes to fashion, my children are always the one who is going to tell me, no, mommy, that don't look good. You need to change that or you need to change this. So I understand Dr. Simone and how she is on the show. Dr. Heavenly, I really don't like. I really don't like Dr. Heavenly. She is very nasty to people. However, I have to commend Dr. Heavenly, especially with this episode where her son did tell her that she is a great mother and that the children have been blessed to have her in their lives. And that is good. I am happy that her children can give her that compliment, because it seems every opportunity that Dr. Heavenly gets, she tends to want to praise her husband as if her husband is the one who does everything. And it's quite unlikely that, in a household such as that, where she and her husband works, that it is the husband that does everything. I don't think so. And so some of the credit should go to Dr. Heavenly. But because of her nasty attitude and her bad personality, not many people wish to compliment her. And I think she has some insecurity issues because she was, plus size at one point in her life, or maybe most of her life, she was always chubby. I think that caused her to kind of put on this type of, mask around people as if she cannot be hurt, or put on a tough face, to the public, but deep down she has those issues that she's dealing with. So therefore, when you say something that hurts her, she tends to lash out in the worst way. Just like the little simple thing between her and Lisa Nicole, where Lisa Nicole was trying to throw shade back at her because of the previous episode. And she just get up and start walk out and arguing and gone to the car, and people have to go out there for go talk to her and whatnot, whatnot. So Dr. Heavenly, it was a really stupid little fight there. So stupid fight between her and Lisa Nicole, and basically me just did a sit down and a yarn. I was yarning when they were doing that. It did not seem entertaining or nothing of the sort. So basically, these women have too much money to be behaving petty. That's all I go and say for that. Anyways, Dr. Contessa and her husband, Dr. Scott, they are one of the interesting couples to me on the show. Very interesting. Dr. Contessa, she is a beautiful woman, and I also can identify with her in the sense that she wanted to go out and further educate herself in order to qualify for certain other job opportunities. I am doing that currently in my relationship. And so basically, you have to be focused on studying, and you have to set your priorities and goals and try to meet them within a certain time. You have to have a supportive family in order for you to do this. And this is where she had a problem with her husband, Scott. And to me, Scott was very selfish. I mean, yeah, both of you are doctors. Maybe Scott wants to compete with Contessa to say that Contessa is going to upgrade herself and leave him behind. And he doesn't want her to be that she's ahead of him. She's probably preferring a wife who is going to stay home with the children. But unfortunately, that is not how life is. When you meet someone at first and you maybe play down what are your plans for the future, you might say, yes, this is what I want to see my future with you. But you have to be open to the fact that people do grow, people do experience things, and then they change, right? And sometimes the change can be far different from where you started off. So you have to be open to accepting those differences that come down the line. And I think Dr. Scott did not accept that Contessa had now changed in the relationship, right? And so he's having this problem of controlling the situation. Now, Contessa is encouraging him to go to therapy with her, and he's outright saying that he doesn't see the reason for a therapist, ray, and blah, blah, blah. Same thing in Blue Therapy, where Paul and Chioma having those issues in front of the therapist. I think that is what Scott wants to avoid. He doesn't want to bring out his insecurities on camera for the world to see. So, he's a man who likes to be in control of things. So, of course, he's not into the therapy. But I commend Contessa for still going to the therapy on her own. If I had the money to, I would definitely go to a therapist and sit and talk and get some deeper insight into what are some of the issues that I might have. Now, we see Contessa with the therapist, and she is saying that she had problems growing up with her parents, and she went through all of that. And the therapist did ask a very good question, which was, did you marry your father? Right? And I have to relate it to myself. I did not grow up with a father. And when the therapist asked that question, I had to also look at myself and say, did I choose a spouse that was a replacement for my father? And I'm going to say to maybe 60, 70% is true. That is true. I may have chosen that person based on the fact that I did not have a father in my life growing up. And so the absence of love and affection coming from that father figure is what led you to then choose someone who showed you that type of love and attention. But then the fact that these persons are not emotionally available to you, right? So you can find a spouse who loves you deeply, shows you attention, but when it comes to the emotional stuff, which is why Scott doesn't want to go to the therapy to be vulnerable, they are not emotionally available. And we have to look out for these signs. And it can develop into problems in a relationship. I hope it doesn't. I like to see her, despite the problems that she's facing with Scott, I like to see their relationship overall, and I hope it works out for her. Now, just to leave you at this point, before I go, Toya, she kind of mentioned something about Heavenly, right? And she was saying that Heavenly was introduced to the group through her. And as soon as Heavenly was introduced, Heavenly decided to behave a certain type of way towards her. And oh my God, I don't know if this is kind of a curse as it relates to women. I think the same thing happened between Mariah and Quad, where Mariah was saying she's the one who introduced Quad to the group, and here it goes, now they are mortal enemies. And this is one of the reasons why women tend not to want to help other women. It's unfortunate, but it is true, right? That women are highly competitive. Men like to believe that they are the competitive beings, but women compete on so many different levels, right? And some of them, they will go to the extent of what Portia did, which is to also date your spouse. That's as far as they will go. But I guess you have to deal with it, Toya. But we will see what happens in the rest of the season. So that's all for now, guys. Leave a comment, please. Join the conversation. I appreciate all that you guys have been doing in, watching the videos. Like, comment, and subscribe. Now, bye.